Hello friends, welcome. This video has been a long time coming, but I am very excited to finally bring you my next heartfelt creation video. So I'm going to be working with the Lush Lilacs, and I have seen some beautiful inspiration that many of you have been making, posted on different sites, and I'm excited to kind of get in there and play with the Lush Lilacs. So I have made, 6 or 7 cards here that I want to create with you. So I think we'll do this in a 2-part video. I'll do part of them in this one, and then I'll have a follow-up video with a few more. So, all right, let's start with the basics and go ahead and switch and get started. All right, so I have gone ahead and stamped one out. You can see here I've made a lot of little base flowers already, because you need a lot when you're making the Lush Lilacs. You need a lot of these little petals to fill things up. So hopefully I have enough here to do the cards that I'm going to do today. That may be when our stopping point comes, is when I run out of these little petals. But I also wanted to create a few with you so that you can kind of see how I go about making them. I'm just putting my hair up real quickly. So for my color palette for today, these are the colors that I'm using. Verbena and Lilac, Sparkling Berry, Cove Blue, Stone Blue, Succulent, and Matcha. So these are the colors, and obviously, I'm using all Catherine Pooler colors today for these cards. So in my personal crafting, I almost always use Catherine Pooler inks. So, you know, the Ranger inks that I used when I was with Heartfelt, I largely use those because those are the ones they carried. But in my personal crafting, I have all Catherine Pooler stock. So, okay, I have stamped these out in the Cove Blue. And if you look at my petals here, I have also stamped out 3 of the stamp in Sparkling Berry and 3 in Verbena. So, and then some in the thing, because I wanted a variety of purples and pinks. So to color these up, I'm going to start with Stone Blue. I'm going to get some on my dauber. Yeah. And now I'm just going to randomly move the ink around, making it darker in some places and lighter in others. And hopefully you can kind of see that. I don't know if you can see the blue on there or not. There is blue on there. It's just a light color. So I want a little bit of blue on each flower, but I don't want them to be solidly blue. All right. So now I'm done with that. Now I'm going to bring in some of the Sparkling Berry. And same thing, I'm just going to randomly rub the Sparkling Berry over all of my flowers. All of my flowers have a little bit of both colors. Now I want them to have a little bit more blue, but the Cove Blue can be really, really dark. So I'm going to have to tap off because it's going to go on much darker. But now I'm just going to put a little of this. I'm trying to be kind of gentle with this. But I have quite a few pinks, so I really wanted these to have a little more of the blue tones than the pinks. All right, I think that ought to do it. So when I was coloring them, sometimes I use these 3 colors, sometimes I use these 3, but pretty much these were the 5 colors that I used to color all my flowers. I just stamped them in different colors and then made sure some were more purple, some were more pink, and some were more blue, but all the colors are kind of in all of them. In fact, I may put just a little bit of the lilac in some of these just to pull out that other color. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and run this through. Get my glasses on. So I do have some pieces cut to make our first card, but I'll set those aside real quick. And we're just going to go ahead and run these through a mold. Now, I don't think there was a mold for the lilacs. If there was, I don't have it. So somebody will have to let me know. I could not remember if they ever came out with a mold for the lilacs. So if you're like me, you don't have that mold. And like I said, I started thinking, I'm pretty sure they didn't make one. So there is a mold called the Petite Florals, but if you look, it's for a flower that has 5 petals, and the lilac thing only has 4 petals. So I decided to use the hydrangea shaping mold because it more fits with a 4-petal layout. So I went ahead and, whoops, losing my mind here, folks. What did I... Whoops, dropping things on. Here it is. Sorry. Set that back aside. Okay. So this is how I did my shaping so far. And like I said, you need so many of them that to do them by hand can get really tedious. So I really wanted to use a mold. So this is how I did that. It was fairly quick. So I did double them up and I put them face down in the smallest wells. And you probably don't need to double them all up, but I'll double up some of them. Whoops, let's be upside down, and this one can go right there. So, okay, so now that I have them all in a well, face down, this way, a little, we'll run that through. Now, another thing I did with these, some I only run through once, but this one I did go all the way forward, and then I came all the way back, and I felt like they had a little bit tighter of a mold when I did them twice. I didn't spritz these with water first. But there we go. And I'm just putting them right there because I am going to go ahead and add a little bit with my stylus. There we go. All right. So now just lay them all here on my mat. And I'm going to use a pretty small tip on the end. And I've got my mats doubled up. And I'm just pressing really kind of hard to get those to come up as tight as I can. And they're going to relax some, and you can't keep that from happening. And I'll do a little bit more molding to them when I put them on my flower, you know, kind of shape them with my fingers. But that gets me a good start so that they're all pretty much ready to go. So that is how I did my flowers. All right, so the first card that we're going to work on, I have gone ahead and cut some pieces. This is from this nice eyelet square. It's from the Staircase Lattice, I believe it's called. Let me see if no, Stairway Garden. So that comes from this set right here. On all of my cards today, I am using original products. I'm not using any digital products. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to layer this on here. So I have been trying to get some videos made for about 2 weeks, and it just, life has been getting in the way. Lots going on. All right, now I did go around the pink paper on the bottom with the sparkling berry, and it was cut to 6 by 6. And then this one I trimmed down so it would fit inside here, leaving a nice white edge. And I went around the edges with this with my lilac ink. And most of the papers, I believe all the papers for this particular card came from one of the Lush Lilac paper pads. Some of my other cards I did pull paper from other places, but for this one, these all were Lush Lilac. This is one of my favorite pieces of paper from that paper pad. I just love the I don't know, just all the texture and colors that are in this one. All right. Sorry, I could feel that sneeze coming. So I have gone ahead and I have stamped this in verbena, and it says have a beautiful day. And I'm going to add glue just around 3 sides and make myself a pocket. And just place that about right here. And that's just to, you know, break up some of the busyness of that paper. And now I have just cut one of the little cards out of the paper pad, and I went around the edges with my lilac ink. And it's not really going to be stamped with anything. I just want it in there to kind of add some dimension. And then we're going to make this one, and it's going to sit about right here. And that is going to be my card design. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move that aside for now. And we're going to put some shape into our base piece of this lilac. Oops. I just want to put some shape into it. All right, so there's no right or wrong on that. You're just adding some shape. And now we're going to add many of our little flowers. And I like to kind of start at the bottom, making sure I get multiple colors. And I'm going to use this one with the tiny, whoops, wrong one. I have several of these, of the tiny ones. And that's one perk I kind of have from working with Heartfelt is I have about, I don't know, 10 or 15 of these, and I can keep the tips all over here and ready. So that is very convenient. And I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on the bottom of each one and just start filling in this flower. Now for the second video that I do with the lilac, I will go ahead and have all my flowers created ahead of time so that we're just creating the cards together. This will be the main one that I actually make like a whole lilac flower. And that's really just to share the process with someone that maybe has never done that before or needed, you know, to see how someone else does it. Sometimes it helps. And I like to fit them in pretty tightly. So I like to lift up those petals, and I always start at the bottom and in the middle and work my way up and then work my way out. And I like to leave some of these little flyaway pieces visible. I don't cover those with my petals. I'm lifting up that petal, whoops, and setting it in kind of at an angle so those petals kind of meld together. And I'm going to come back and we'll decide in a moment whether we're going to put prills or, oops, I have some prills, and then I also have these Nouveau drops that we may use on some of them, just to make a variety there. Oops. Oh, I should have said when I colored the piece that I'm doing, this base piece that I stamped out, I stamped just the leaf part in the succulent, and then the top part of the flower I stamped in the verbena, I don't know how to say that word, and then I colored it using a variety of all of these colors in much the same way as I colored the petals. I just kind of randomly took my colors across the whole thing. So you can see this does take a little while to fill it all up. So that's why we're just going to do this one together. And you can also see why you need to have so many of these little petals made, because it really takes a lot to get it filled up if you want a nice full look. Which I do. So is it starting to feel like spring wherever you are in the world? I think I mentioned the other day, Texas cannot make up its mind. It is so confused about whether it is winter or summer. It's like every other day we're turning the air conditioner on and then turning the heat on. It's crazy. All right, I think that is pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it about like that. I kind of like having those bits. If I decide to come back and add anything later, I will, but for now, I think that will be good. So I think for this first one, we're going to go ahead and do a few of the Nouveau drops. Let's see here. I'm going to get a little piece of scratch paper just to, you can see it's kind of a shiny lavender color. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm just going to add a little dollop of that into the center of each one. Excuse my head if I've got my head in it, in the camera. Sometimes I like using the Nouveau drops just because of how easy it is. You know, prills takes a minute to do, and with these little bitty ones, the Nouveau drops are so much easier. And I like the shiny look of them. All right. Because I want my Nouveau drops to dry there, I am going to get a piece of foam. And this is a pretty thick foam. It's pretty thick. And I'm going to lay my foam, no, that's about right, about where I want my flower to be. There. And then I'm just going to take my flower and add it to the foam. There we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to glue this piece inside. And there we go. I will add this to a 6x6 card base, top folding, and there's my first card for today. Isn't it pretty? I just love the lilacs. Now I am going to come back after my Nuvo drops dry, and I will add a little bit of the 3D crystal lacquer and put a little bit of glitter. And we may end up doing that on the phase 2 video, because I'll add a little bit of glitter to some of these areas as well, just to kind of bring that sparkle every place that there's flowers. So okay, there's the starting of card 1. So the next card, I went a totally different direction. And it is also a 6x6 card. And I have stamped out all the elements that I want to use here. This is actually a flower vine that came from, I believe it's the Birds and Berries or something like that. And the flower, the little birds here. And these birds, I believe, came from the Singing in the Rain collection, as well as this little fairy. And these 2 little fillers also came from Singing in the Rain. And this piece of paper is from our lilac collection, and I used the Cut, Mat, and Create 2A. Has this one that measures 3.75, and that fits perfectly to cut out the centers. So this piece of paper actually comes from the Cottage paper pad. I can't remember the exact names of things. You guys will have to look those up. I can't remember. But the Cottage that has the 4 seasons, it came from that paper pad, and I just cut that piece out. And then I cut the center out of this piece so that this can go right down in there. So I'm going to go ahead. I have put foam on the back of this. This is a 6x6 top folding card. Whoops. And I'm going to add that, get our card base ready, and then we'll work on our other pieces. So other than the Cut, Mat, and Create, I didn't really use a lot of dies on this one. On the first one, I did use quite a few of, you know, just decorative dies. But on this one, it's mostly the stamped elements that I used. Oops. Want to make sure I get it as straight as possible, because you only have one shot at this. I think that's pretty good. And for this piece, oh, and I forgot to go around the edges. I will do that here in a moment. I'm just gonna place that right down the side. All right. I'm going to take my lilac ink and just go around the edges here of the top paper. I should have done that beforehand. I forgot. All right, there we go. All right, so now that our base is ready, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my shaping mats, and we're going to add some shape to all of our little characters here. My method for adding shape is to put circles on the big parts and then turn it over and press gently on the thin parts. So excuse me, so I want her wings to kind of pop up. So right there where her hair meets her wings, I'm just pressing down a little bit at her waistline. That'll make her skirt kind of pop up. And then maybe right here at her arm. And then maybe go back and accentuate my circles a little more, but that is pretty good for her. That I'm going to leave alone. For my flower twigs, I'm going to go on the back side, and on all of my leaves, I'm just going to press, make those curl up. Now, most of my flowers, I'm going to well, I'm gonna go ahead and push on all the flowers, and then we'll turn them over. And I wasn't sure if I was going to leave these flowers or try to put lilacs over them, but I think I'm just going to use these flowers. I went ahead and colored them like the lilacs, but some of these get some shape. All right, there's my branch. You get the little birds. Same thing, circles on the large parts, and I'll turn it over and press gently on the smalls. Okay, whoops. So right here where the birds meet those flowers, I'll press. And then down here where the birds meet the branch, I'll press. Oops. Like I said, that just makes the curve kind of pop back up. Okay, so we've got, for my butterfly, I have stamped the butterfly medley butterflies on blue vellum, and I stamped them in the Cove Blue and then went over them with clear embossing powder. So just pull up its little wings. All right, this gives us all of our pieces ready to go. So to start out here, we're going to add a little bit of ink to our eyelet circle here. Butterfingers today. Just adding a little bit, darken up those edges a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit of foam to the back side of my Hey Friend. And the Hey Friend there is stamped in the verbena, or however you say that. We're gonna say verbena. I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I guess it means purple. All right. Now my little girl right here, I'm gonna have to use a little bit of the thicker foam on the parts that are going to be down in here. Oops. All right, and then the parts that are going to overlap the base, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of glue to. So I had already predetermined, I kind of want her standing about right here, so her wings are on the base, about right like that. Excuse me, that's kind of down. Now we'll add our branch right about here. Not like this. So on these pieces, I'm going to add some more of that foam. What did I do with that? Here it is. Excuse me, I'm going to move this up. So this little piece that hangs down is where I want my foam to be, because it's going to be down in this section. So we're going to add some of this heavier, thicker foam just to the leaves that are down in there, and I'll put some on the flowers as well. And for these other parts, I'm going to add glue to those, I'm just going to add this onto our scene. Forgot to take my papers off first. So I would love it in the comments if you would tell me the sets that you're enjoying pulling out this spring. Like, what are you making right now with your heartfelt creation? Whoops, did I do that wrong? I sure did. No, I did. I put it on the wrong one. Ah. You know what? We're not going to let that bother us. We're just going to add some more foam to the ones. I can't believe I did that, you guys. Ah. The best laid plans. Some of you probably saw that I was doing that. I'm just going to move my foam. That's an easy enough fix, right? All right. No harm, no foul. There we go. All right. Can't believe I did that. There we go. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. That's going to stay where I want it anyway. I'm at a little bit of glue right there. Some more shape to my flowers. These poor little guys kind of lost their shape when I screwed them up. There we go. All right. Now, the reason I had to do that just right is because I wanted this branch right here to be straight, because I'm going to line this branch with the birds up right on top of that so that my birds are sitting in that tree, but I still wanted the branch to make sense in the whole thing. Like, I didn't want to just put it up in here where it looks like, you know, I still wanted that congruency. So I apologize for screwing that up, but we got it fixed pretty good. So for this, I'm going to add a little bit of foam to my birds so that they stick up just a little bit. And then I'm going to add glue to my branch, and we'll line that up right there on the other branch. I keep my wits about me. All right. So that gives a little bit more fullness here to my tree. And we have our flowers. They got kind of flattened there. Just pressing on the centers here to bring those back up. There we go. Okay. It's looking pretty good. For all the pulling it around and messing with it, it turned out pretty good. So these other two pieces, my plan was to kind of just put them down here in this corner to, so she's not the only thing on this level. And on one of them, I do need some foam. So one of them will be up on the outside, and one will be, yes, got that right. I have to double check myself in this video that I don't put things on backwards. This one I'm going to add just a little bit of foam so that it sticks up. All right, and now the final piece is just fitting in our hey friend over here. And for this, going to put my foam on the scene first. That way it'll be in the right place. I glue to my back side here. And I'm going to feed it under those leaves a little bit. All right. Right like that. So the only thing that I need to do to finish this card is add glitter and some prills. So let me grab my prills. I'm going to use this one right here, which is called mini pearls? I don't know. I wonder if we have some pink ones. Let me see if I got some pink. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to use pink ones. I'm going to use these instead. They're called Tutu Pink. A little spoon. All right. Oh yeah, I like the pink ones. That's going to be pretty. Okay. Just a couple more over here. This one. All right. Okay, there is one that's underneath this bird head, but I don't think we'll be seeing that one. So here is my Hey Friend card, and the very last thing is I'm going to add this little butterfly right here in the sky as if it's about to come land on the girl's hand, or on the fairy's hand. All right, there we go. I really like this one. Now, when we do the other one with some glitter, we'll come back and add just a little bit of glitter around our flowers and around the edges. All right, card 2 down. It was a little rocky there, but we got it. I do like these pink pearls. We may have to use these with some of our lilacs too. All right. Get ready for the next card. Okay. How are we doing on time? Now, this next one, I have got my pieces here, and this is one where I pulled in some papers from some other paper pads. And it is a 5x7 card. Hold on, I got lots of prills here that I don't want to have underneath me. I'm going to put it in here. There we go. All right. Let's start by going around the edges. And these two papers, let's see, this one is from, both of these are from Butterfly Reflections. This is one of my favorite all-time pieces of paper. I love all the colors in this paper. I forgot to tell you, in that last card with the little fairy from Singing in the Rain, I did color her with the Copic markers, and the same with my boots. For the body of the boot, I would go over it with some a light application of ink, and then for all the highlights, like the decorative pieces on the boots, I colored in with Copics. And I'll show you specifically here in just a second. So I've gone ahead. And so first I went over it with a little bit of lilac ink, very lightly. Then I colored in all the pieces. Then I went back around the edges with the lilac ink to give it kind of some dimension. I went ahead and took my X-Acto knife to cut a little slit up here in the boot, and then I added in my foliage pieces. Oops. Maneuver those a little bit. And then on the back side here, I'm going to put just a small piece of double-sided tape just to hold all of those flowers in place. So, all right, just like that. Okay. So now it goes on all as one piece instead of separate. So the 3 sets that I used to make all my cards for this video and my next one were the Lush Lilac, the Singing in the Rain, Butterfly Reflections, and I think that's about it. If there's any other pieces from anywhere else, I'll let you know. There. Oh, well, there was that one branch from the Birds and Blooms. I forgot to go around the edges on that piece, but I don't think it's going to matter too awful much. Oh, I love that piece of paper. This piece of paper makes me happy. All right, now for our base, I made one of these, which I have that one over here for you. Ah, here it is. This die right here is what I used to make that. So I cut the large one out in white. I cut the decorative piece, and then this inner one I cut out in the pink. And we're going to go ahead and layer these all up. And then I'm going to use some foam, but just on the whole thing once I get it layered up. I like how that looks when you put the kind of soft pastel pieces behind it. Whoops. That's such a nice die. It's one of my favorites. And now I'm going to use some thin foam tape here just to add, here it is, lost my scissors, a little bit of dimension. Cut off just a little bit. Right there in the center. And then put a few more on the edges. Just going to try to get that centered. I think that's really pretty. I like that combination of products there. All right, so my plan was to add my boot off to one side. I have gone ahead and made one of the lilac kind of sprigs, and I went ahead and added my lilacs to it. And I think, let's see, I think I'm going to go ahead and, for the sake of time, go ahead and do the Nouveau drops again on this piece. And my plan for these is that they would kind of angle down the side right here. I'm going to kind of lay it all out before I glue anything down. And before I go any further, I did not add any shape to this piece or my boot, so I'm going to do that very quickly before we move on. This is the rainbow kind of musical singing piece that comes out of the Singing in the Rain. And I want that to kind of be at an angle about right here, hiding the end of it below underneath this piece here. Oops, I forgot my boot. Just going to add a little bit of dimension in my boot, and especially there in these two. Okay. All right, I have this little bird that I cut out, and I want this little bird to sit right up here in these florals as if he's just singing a tune there. And then this little sprig is also from the Singing in the Rain, and I'm going to add my Nouveau drops, and it's going to go right down here. Okay. It's going to be right down here at the bottom of my circle. I think I'm going to bring my boot over a little bit. And then for my sentiment, I got to go around my pink here. Just can't stand those white edges. I didn't put any more ink on. I didn't want to be super dark, but I did want to take away that whiteness. And for this one, I chose the saying "just a note," and I stamped that out in the Cove Blue. And my plan is for it to sit right down in here by the boot. Okay. All right, let's start gluing everything in place. There we go. My daughter's dog, I'm dog sitting right now. My daughter's dog is laying over here, and I think she either has the hiccups or she's having a bad dream. I can't tell, but she's making little noises. She's such a precious little dog. Okay. After this. So my purpose in sharing my videos, like where I'm just crafting like this, is just to share with you ideas of how to continue to use your products that you have from Heartfelt. And if anybody has any questions about making certain flowers or things like that, I'm certainly happy to answer if I know the answer. But you know, we're just having fun here. I'm not selling anything. I'm not just coming up with sharing with you what I'm making and sharing ideas of how to use the products. So that is all we got going on here. Okay, I like that about right there. I want that to be nestled in right about there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. A little bit of the glue on some of these pieces. Okay, move those up. All right. Now for this little piece, I'm going to just, I think I'm actually going to add foam under it. There we go. Yeah. And right down in here, I'm going to add just a little glue. sometimes if you don't glue down these little pieces, they get caught on things and they get pulled up and get ripped off. So I like adding a little bit of glue to hold down that piece. All right, so now we're ready to position our pieces up here. Okay. Okay. The way I like to glue these down is to take my stylus and kind of move it in between my petals, and that'll give me a place to kind of press down on the glue. And I think up here on this one corner, I'm going to add just a little bit of foam to hold that up. Oops. Stuck my finger in my... there we go. All right, now the last thing is our little bird. I'm gonna put a little bit of foam on him. And he's going to be sitting right down here, and got him crooked. There we go. He's singing away. All right, there we go. Oh, I love how this one turned out as well. And this one is definitely going to love having a little bit of glitter on it. So we will glitter this one up as well. All right, I have one more card for us to do today. And let me see which one I want to do. I have quite a pile over here. This one. I think we'll do this little one. It's another boot card, and it's just a small little card. But I liked some of the pieces here, and I've done the same thing. Excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze again. Forgive me. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the boots here, where I've added all the pieces in. I colored it the exact same way as I did the other one. I put a little bit of the sparkling berry, excuse me, the sparkling berry, and colored it with Copics. Then I came back with the sparkling berry and did just the edges to kind of give that a nice rounded look. I added in, all of these pieces are from the Singing in the Rain that comes with the boots, and filled those in with some foliage. So I am going to go ahead, turn this over, and same thing, add just a little bit of shape here to my boot. And some of my foliage in there. All right, so that one is ready to go. For my little piece here, we're going to add some flowers to it. Oops. Get here stuck together. Right, I think I'm going to add one more. All right. Now, I also used a couple the tag stamp, and these are both from the Lush Lilac paper pad, and I have stamped this one with For My Friend, and I'm going to layer those up with a little piece of foam right here on the corner. Oops. And I'm going to layer them up just so that the circle is still intact. So that way I can put a little piece of twine. I have some colored twine. I'm going to put that between there and tie a little bow. And now that I say that, I think I forgot to bring my twine over here. So I may not do that right now, but in the second video, I will show it to you all done. But I'm just going to tie a little piece in there and make a little bow. So, all right, I'm going to go around this one with the stone blue. I'm going to go around this one with the sparkling berry. Now I like having some A2 size cards because sometimes I don't want to have to write enough to fill up a 6x6 card or a 5x7 card. So it's nice to have A2. In fact, in all my other crafting besides Heartfelt Creation, I almost exclusively make A2 cards. But with Heartfelt Creation, I love all the dimension and I want to have more room to put all my beautiful flowers and my images. So for those, they're almost always a little bigger. But even with my Heartfelt cards, I enjoy making a few of these A2 size. So you'll have to let me know what you if that's how you do it. Do you ever use your Heartfelt Creation to make the A2 size? Or are you do you use bigger ones? Now this piece comes from, somewhere here. Nope, I've got it over here. This one right here. So I can't remember what they called this, but these are all the pieces that came in that die, and it's this smaller of the eyelet ones. And there is also a square right inside the eyelet one that cuts this piece out for you. So that's nice to have those so you can layer those up and have all the layers that you want. Right there. Then I wanted these with the little birds right up there. And there is this set. Ornamental tags that gives you this perfect outline to cut out all of those tags. So hopefully you were able to get, these dies to be able to do things like this. And then this is going to go just right down here like we did before to kind of just decorate that up. So here is my design for this one. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And I'm debating whether I want to pop this up. I think I do. It's going to be a pretty easy one to pop up. I'm just going to use one of these big pieces here and then maybe cut off just a little bit more to do this edge and this edge. There we go. That ought to hold it. I purposely picked this particular piece of paper because I wanted some of these pretty lilacs over on this side. So I'm going to add this right here. So I'm going to add just a little bit of foam underneath. And like before, I'm going to add just a little bit of foam on these two large flowers there, just to give them a little lift. And that's one of the things that makes it nice about adding some double-sided adhesive to the back to keep those. I can, you know, manipulate that and not have to worry about moving them around. And I find that nice to put them on that way. So like before, I'm gonna have to have a little bit of foam for the part that hangs off the edge here. I think so. That might work. So let's see. Oops. Go ahead and add my boot. Okay. All right. There we go. This little piece, turns out I don't need. Again, I'm going to glue down that little curlicue piece of it. And then for this, I'm going to tuck it right underneath, and it's going to go right here. And I am purposely leaving these up above where I'll be able to put in my string. Okay. Just tucking that one right under there. And there we go. Very sweet card. Okay, I am going to add my Nouveau drops right down here. I like these shiny Nouveau drops with the colors that I chose. I think that looks really nice. So, all right. So there's my last one for this video. I believe I have 4 more for the next video. And I'm going to go ahead and record it right now. So while I have my mess all out, but I will launch it as a separate video. So let me go ahead and get the 4 cards that we made today. And at the start of the next video, I'll show you these again, and they'll be all glittered up and ready to go. So I've got 2 of my little boot cards, my little fairy card, and the one we started with our beautiful lilac. So, all right, I hope you enjoyed making these Lush Lilac cards and getting some ideas of how to combine the Singing in the Rain and the Lush Lilacs. And join me for the second video, and you'll be able to see some more ideas of how to use these. So thanks again for joining me, and look for part 2 coming soon. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.